Welcome to the Run Out, the show where everything is made up and the points don't matter. At least that's what the trolls say. I am Neil Barrett. He is the busiest man in lacrosse, Mr. Brandon Hooten. Today we will get into week 2 of the NLL season, which was light on the games, but not on the storylines. And we will look ahead into week 3 action. And we might even put on our tinfoil hats to talk about the PLL moving its season. But before we get into all of that, Brandon, how we doing, man? It's been a week.
It has been a week. State championship time in Colorado. My team won. Twice in 3 years, I followed a team to state, and they won the championship. Just saying, any team that wants to win, holla at your boy. All right, I'll come photograph you. And they won on a walk-off field goal. Kid hit a 40-yarder with ease. Like, could have been 50-plus easily. Like, it's insane, some of these kids nowadays, like the stuff they can do. But, so I got a new post up for that, and I still got so much to go through and get to them, but, like, what a time. There's nothing better, I think, than, like, you know, having a team to root for and seeing that kind of come to fruition for, like, high school seniors and stuff like that. Like, it's incredible.
Nice. I saw the pictures look great. Honestly, when I was scrolling through, I kept being like sometimes I scroll and I'm not really looking at who's posting stuff, and I'm scrolling and I'm like, why do I keep seeing this Pomona team? Like, what is happening? I'm just like scrolling. They just kept popping up. Yep. And then finally I figured out it. Like, something in the back of my head was like, it's so weird because I never saw your name, but something in the back of my head was like, is this the team Brandon was talking about? Like, is that why I'm seeing this all the time? And then it dawned on me, like, I looked and I saw the name you had posted, and I was like, oh, duh, idiot. Yeah. But yeah, the photos were great.
Thank you.
I have just been working and not, I feel like I haven't gotten anything done all week. I sat down and got about 10 minutes before you hopped on and like wrote this whole show because I just have been out of it. We went up into the north country of New Hampshire, up into the mountains, the White Mountains this weekend for a friend's birthday. And we literally drove from there to work. I dropped my wife off at her work and then drove in to my work, and we both, I think, regret that decision. So we'll see how this show goes. Maybe it'll be better. Maybe it'll be worse. I don't know. Let's find out, I guess. How about that?
Yeah. Let's share some opinions and call them facts and whatever else.
We're just going to be on one this whole episode, aren't we?
Apparently, we need to be specific, so we'll be specific. That's what it takes.
Okay. Like I told you, I'm going all rumor and innuendo. I'm going the exact opposite direction of you.
Yeah, so let's just put tinfoil hats on just the entire episode. We can just theorize about everything. I think that's probably the way to go. Yeah.
I'm here for it. I also love that we're talking about this almost like in code. All the listeners are very confused right now.
It's fine.
All 25, right?
All three, according to him. Just
3. Well, let's move into week 2 of the NLL action. We will start with the Oshawa FireWolves taking on I almost said Oklahoma.
Wow, that's quite the jump.
I think it was Oklahoma City Thunder maybe popped in my head. But no, we are talking about the Halifax Thunderbirds, who started their season. Oshawa played last week. This game was not much of a game, really. The Thunderbirds run out with an 11-2 victory behind Warren Hill's incredible performance. I've read that he is one of only 3 people in NLL history to hold a team to 2 goals or less, which is a pretty crazy stat when you consider it's been 35 something like that years of the league. So something that only 2 other guys have done before is pretty impressive. So what did you think about this game, Brandon?
Yeah, I only saw like parts of the first quarter, unfortunately, so I didn't get to see much of it. But
You saw the good part.
yeah, I mean, it looked like a game for a while there. So I just, put it away and came back, and all of a sudden I was like, what happened? Like, and then I saw the score, and I was like, there's no way that's right. Like, it has to be just not updating or something. Like, yeah, no, that was a score. Like, I obviously picked Oshawa to win this game, and even I am just like, I'm not mad about being wrong about a prediction like that, but like 2 goals, like, and you do that in the first quarter, and then you just don't do anything the rest of the game. It's absolutely insane. And the fact that one guy scored both of those goals, like, what are we doing? But I mean, shout out to Warren Hill. 49 saves, dude, is like insane. And also it helps that like Oshawa doesn't have Nardella right now, so they aren't winning faceoffs either. And when you have Jake Withers, winning that many faceoffs anyway, it's going to be tough for you to win that game. But especially then when you have Warren Hill behind you, who's absolutely on one. Like, I mean, what a win for them. Way to make a statement as well. First game of the year. So I would like to see more of Oshawa, like especially after like that week 1 game where you win by 1 goal and it's like a big like, hey, we're here to play, and all of a sudden this happens. It's like, man, they're gonna have to have a huge game 3 in my opinion.
Yeah, it really not only makes me re-examine Oshawa, but it also makes me re-examine Toronto as well. Just by extension of that, and some of the expectations that they came in with. Is it likely that it's probably kind of it was a bad night to have a bad night kind of thing? Like, yeah, probably. Do I think that Halifax is, 9 goals better than Oshawa? Probably not. Though I think you watch this game and you do think they're certainly the better team. But I don't even know what to say about this game. Like it was just not ugly. I don't know. It was a tough game for Oshawa. Obviously, if you're a Halifax fan, you're like, yeah, hey, we're great. We're doing awesome. It is also funny. I think Warren Hill is one of those dudes, and you correct me if I'm wrong. He's like very good, but also like not like that. You know what? Let's talk about like that. We talked about in the Lax Lifers Club this week. We talked about Wes Berg and whether or not he was a fringe PLL player. Those were my words. We got a little pushback. I think once I explained them, people kind of understood what I meant. And in that, I was kind of saying that even when he was dropping 23 points for the Redwoods, I don't think he was very secure in that position. He was a third attackman, kind of off ball. And the first thing that the Redwoods did that offseason was sign Chris Gray and essentially push Westberg out. Warren Hill has always felt to me that way in the NLL, in that he's too good to not have a job. He's too good to not have a starting job, but almost everywhere is like, but if we could just really nail down the goalkeeper, we could really push to have something. Would that be somewhat fair?
I'm not going to say all that. I'm going to say I think he's just really streaky. Like, I think when he's on, he's like really on. And that's where you get the talks of like, he is one of the best in the league. Because, I mean, I recognize this as like an outlier generational performance. But even other games he's had, it's like, wow, he's like really good. But then he has those nights where like all of a sudden it doesn't seem to quite click for him. And then it's like, well, let's get Hutchison in there at least, try to save the game. And then to Drew Hutchison's credit, he's also been pretty good in relief of Warren Hill. But like you said, he is like Warren Hill's one of those guys that like you can't just not have him on a roster. Like, but even coming into this game, like Doug Jamieson is probably a top 3 goalie in the league. Like, so that's where I made my pick was like, I feel like as good as Warren Hill can be, like Doug Jamieson is Doug Jamieson. But then you have a night like Hill had where it just seemed like, even watching like the highlights, it just felt like anything that shot at him, it was like not even there. It was just like invisible, like just hits him in the chest, done. And that's not something you see very often, especially like Alex Simmons had 16 shots on goal. Like, is he ever going to go 0 for 16 again? The answer to that's no. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if next week Alex Simmons had a sock trick, or next game rather. Like, it's one of those things that's just like you said, it's a bad night to have a bad night for Oshawa, and a great night to have a historic night on the other side.
Let me ask you a question. We talked a lot during the PLL season, especially around your Outlaws, and about Pat Kavanaugh's touch numbers and just how astronomical they were, and whether or not that was an issue. Is Alex Simmons having double the amount of shots on goal of any other player on the floor a bad sign at all? Are we looking at, I mean, I of the list of their guys, he's probably the top, or he's definitely at the top of, if not the top of, the list of guys you want taking shots. So in that sense, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but having such a disparity between him and even the second highest shooter in the on the team feels very imbalanced, especially for such a game that relies so heavily on balance.
I'm not saying you're totally wrong, but like, if Alex Simmons is a guy that you're like, he's taking too many shots, like, I don't think that's a bad thing. It's Alex Simmons. I would agree, though, like, 4 shots on goal for Ty Kurtz. You know, maybe Simmons drops to 12, and now you get an extra 4 for Ty. Because, I mean, you look at Dyson had 9 on goal, Ethan Walker had 8 on goal, you know, Tiger Clark had 4. Like, you're getting some good numbers from the rest of the guys. It's just Ty Kurtz in this game had 4, which, I mean, maybe that's, I mean, part of that probably is defensively, like, take what you're given to a degree. And I don't know that giving Alex Simmons that many shots is a good idea, you know, most times, but it worked out in this game. And like, it's just one of those things that's like, again, next week he could only shoot 8 or 9 times, but he could bury 3 or 4 or 5 of them. And it's, you know, then all of a sudden it's a question of, well, where was this last week? So that's why I'm saying I think it's just an off night. It wouldn't shock me to see this type of, you know, numbering switched around all year long. Maybe one game Ty Kurtz is the guy that's taking 16 shots. Who knows? But I think they have enough young guys to where it's like whoever has the open look should be taking them. And especially, like I said, it's Alex Simmons. You know, it's not like we're talking about a third stringer that's out there just chucking shots for the sake of doing it. But
no, yeah, I definitely agree. And if anyone is going to be shooting a significantly higher volume of shots, that's the guy you want doing it. But sometimes I just think, like, sometimes you again, I'll go back to the PLL because it's what I know much more. There's sometimes you see the Redwoods and Ryder Garnsey is just shooting and shooting and shooting. And again, it's not that you don't want him shooting. It's just like at some point it's like, yo, we gotta get this ball spread out. And just for the sake of the argument, I don't, like you said, I don't think it necessarily proves anything. In the previous game against the Rock, Ty Kurtz had 7, Alex Simmons had 10, Dyson Williams had 6. It just felt a lot more balanced, kind of spread throughout that offense. So part of that is me asking, you know, just trying to increase my own knowledge and see, and part of it is just me, again, kind of relating back to something that I know maybe a little bit better.
Hey, like Deion Waiters said, though, I'd rather be 0 for 30 than 0 for 9, because if you go 0 for 9, that means you quit shooting.
Okay.
Shooters got to shoot.
I mean, you could also have just taken 2 shots a quarter, but okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Why take 2 when you could take 4?
Well, I mean,
shout out Simmer, man. He'll get him to drop.
Yeah, I agree with you. The odds that Alex Simmons goes 0 for 16 again is pretty low. Although we talked about Ty Kurtz only taking, what was it, 4 shots, I think it was. He hit 2 of them. It's like,
Yeah.
maybe that guy should take a few more.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I just think it was just one of those games where kind of the flow wasn't quite what they wanted, and that's the result. But now, now they can probably focus more on that of, this guy has 2 already. Maybe he needs to be the guy, quote unquote, for tonight. And like we've talked about the Bandits numerous times where they have that system of like, Dane's not going to score a bunch of goals every night. Can he? Absolutely. But maybe it's Josh's night. Maybe it's his night. Someone else. Like, that's just kind of how I think a lot of these teams are going to have to play. And especially like with this young group, like they're going to continue to get better and better and kind of figure that part out. But it's going to take time. But again, he did this against a generational performance, as we have to keep in mind. So it's like, I'm not worried about him at all, because he's never going to go over 16 against the best goalie again, let alone a performance like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So Oshawa, we've now seen twice. I'm wondering, obviously this is week 1, essentially, for Halifax. What are you taking from this game about this team? If anything, again, it's week 1. It doesn't prove anything about the rest of their season, but it was a very impressive win. So
yeah, but there's not much you can take from it because they don't have their face-off guy. And again, I probably overstate face-offs more than most people will. Like, I'm a believer that you need the ball.
What?
It's not even just a belief. Like, you do need the ball to score. Like, if Nardell is out there, does Withers, and Halifax win 15 face-offs? Probably not, even though Jake Withers is very, very good. So, like, to me, it's like, I think week 1 they had a tough matchup against a Rock team that there was no film on for the most part. Like, you're playing against young, hot rookies that, and then I get Mark Matthews as well. Like, and you still pull out the win. Like, that was big. And then in this game, again, Warren Hill, great performance. No Nardella. Like, Simmer just was off. Like, those types of things are going to happen. To me, if something like this happens again, not even to this just extent, but even just, half of it, like if they come out the next game and they're still struggling and they don't put up 10 plus goals, then I'm going to have some questions, because I'm like, okay, that's 3 times in a row now that you're not putting up double digits. And in this league, you're going to need double digits to win games. So I'm not worried week 2. And also, like, Halifax didn't play a game yet, so they're 100% fresh. Like, maybe that played a factor. I'm not saying it did, but maybe it does. So we'll see week 3, game 3. But again, impressive start for Halifax. But can they sustain that going into game 2?
I have a really stupid question. Doug Jamieson has 8 goals against in this game. But Halifax scored 11 goals. Where did the other 3 come from?
I would assume they were empty netters, maybe. Like I said, I didn't get to catch the fourth quarter at all, so I can't fully say that with definitive. But like, that's my only thought, because at that point they would have been down 8-2. So maybe they're just like, hey, we'll just pull the goalie and just kind of hope for the best. But after like the first one and the second one, why would you go out for a third? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
like, why do you keep doing?
So I'm not totally sure. I'm not totally sure. I probably should have gone back and watched the full game, but yeah.
Because this says that he played 55 minutes and 14 seconds, and Andrew Kidd played 4 minutes and 43 seconds, which is just about the whole game. I think it looks like there's like 3 to 4 seconds that aren't accounted for in that time. But I also don't know how stats work. Like, if Doug Jamieson was, ran to the bench, is he still considered, like, I don't know. I just saw that.
In that case, it wouldn't count as against him if he was running to the bench.
But right, but his minutes would reflect that, right? Like, it would show him as not having been on the
field. I think the minutes would still count until he gets on the bench. I just think that it wouldn't, the goal wouldn't count against him because he's not in goal. I believe. Could be totally off, but
this is what we really need listeners to do, is be like, hey, some of you dudes that are keeping, or women, sorry, dudes was not a gender specific term. to tell who keep score for games and stuff to tell us what the deal is here. It's not that big of a deal. I don't really care. I just wonder because I'm like you. I thought, oh well, some empty netters, but then I thought 3 of them when you're down this amount, like
Well,
that
honestly,
seems
like I don't even know why you'd pull your goalie when you're down by 6. Like
right.
you already don't
Right.
have much of a chance, and then to just I don't know. That's me personally. I wouldn't do it. That's my opinion. I would not do that.
Yeah. I do think it's going to be really interesting, and we'll get into week 3 in a minute, but it is going to be really interesting to see almost immediately Halifax goes from a
Playoff team.
a lower level team in the FireWolves to the test of the league with the Bandits. So it is going to be interesting to see them, but before we get into next week, let's move over to the second and final game of the weekend, in which the Calgary Roughnecks took on the Saskatchewan Rush, with the Rush pulling away somewhat late. 16-13 was the final score. I shouldn't say they pulled away a little bit late.
They
were
pulled
up,
away kind of early, and then just
they pulled away kind of early, settled in a little bit. Calgary came roaring back, and then Saskatchewan kind of pulled away right there at the end. What did you make of this game? This was our first time getting to see either team this season. You and I have asked lots of questions about the Rush and which Rush team was going to be the Rush team of this season. I have also been maybe a little bit higher on this Calgary team than some other people have been. But this was our first time getting to see both of them on the field and on the floor in a meaningful game. What did you think?
yeah, this one was kind of the opposite of the other game for me, where I saw more of the second half than the first. But I turned the game on, and Calgary literally scored 4 straight. So
Should have kept watching.
I did what I did keep watching. I did what I could, Calgary fans. All right, I tried. I tried to will your team back, and they almost did it. You know, they got to 13-13, and then Zach Mans with 2 in a row and Mike Messenger at the end. So I did my part. But I just thought it was just, for both goaltenders, kind of first game jitters, it looks like. Just very high scoring. The only, down quarter for the Rush was that third quarter, and even then, like, you put up 4, 6, and 5 in the other 3. I mean, that's pretty darn good. And they did that, funny enough, to counter my other point, they did it without winning faceoffs, which I know Jake Naso's hurt, and Justin Nacio is obviously going to win the majority of those, but, like, that's pretty good. You're not winning faceoffs, possessions, and you're still winning by 3. Like, that's kind of what you want, and I think the veterans on this team just looked great from what I saw. 7 points from Austin Shanks. Robert Church had 4 goals. Like, and to your point, like, I was pretty impressed with some of the stuff I was seeing from Calgary. Like, Noah Manning, like, seeing him score was just like, obviously I'm a little biased, but like it was just fun to see. Like, that's a guy that I really believe is going to be a really great NLL player. And then Tanner Cook with 5 points. Tyler Pace was 7 as well, 3 goals, 4 assists. Like, he's a guy that's going to have to kind of take the reins for the most part. And Hayden Dixon on the same stat line. So I'm intrigued by this Calgary team much more than I think I was heading into the game. Just because it's like, if you're able to put up a fight like this against a team in the finals, now you go up against a team like Toronto that, like, I think they're a good team, but did they overly impress us week 1? The answer is probably no. So it's like, now I'm really focused in on that matchup to be like, if they're putting up 13 goals, they're going to be much better than I think even I kind of predicted them to be.
One that you did not mention that I want to mention, same sort of thing. Admittedly, Noah Manning is a higher level. He was what, a number 4? What was
I think it was number
5?
9. Number 9.
Number 9. Oh,
One
geez, I
before
didn't realize
Colorado.
Calgary was that low. But so he had a little bit more hype, but Braden Maia had 4 points as well, 2 goals and 2 assists, and that's a high point guy right there. We have talked a lot about me trying to find a team, and there's something about this Calgary team that, like, I have just loved watching them play. I know. I get it. but I have really enjoyed watching them play. I love the young guys that they have on this team from top to bottom. All seem to be playing very well at like, I don't know. There's just something about the way that they play that I like really enjoy watching, and seeing. Like I said, Braden Maia, who's like I said, a guy that I watched at High Point. Justin Ignacio, a guy that I enjoyed playing for the Archers for the time that he was there, and then now is in Carolina, in the PLL. I've gotten to watch him a lot. I don't know. Even guys like Kyle Pepper, like I was watching him play. I thought he played very well this weekend. Like it just there were a lot of guys on this team that I just enjoy watching play. We talked about shots in the first game. They had 3 guys with 10 plus shots on goal. Like,
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, like they move the ball, they play well on offense. I think maybe defensively you would look at maybe that's kind of the thing that's somewhat holding them back a little bit. But I also really like to see a team that's this young and this counted out, I think might be a good way to put it. Get down 10-5 at halftime against a team that was in the NLL finals and come out and be like, oh, we're not going anywhere. Some of that may have been the Rush taking their foot off the gas a little bit, whatever. But, when it was 13-13, it's like, oh, like what's about to happen here? And to your point, the Rush, their veteran leadership, they've seen this before. They weren't phased and did what they had to do to pull out the victory. But I just really like this Calgary team. I'm not saying they're going to be my team, but I do really enjoy watching them play.
And if you're a Calgary team and you have a good week, you're automatically on his I really like list. Toronto, Calgary. Just wait till Oshawa has a good game. All of a sudden, it's gonna be. I really like this Oshawa team.
No, it won't be. It won't be that.
Halifax. Yeah, what a great week they had. I really like that team.
Halifax did have a great week. They're not on my list.
That's who you should pick right there.
Why would I pick them?
Awesome color scheme. Awesome logos. They have some good superstars. They're also in a place that, like, I know, like, 1 or 2 other people who are fans of them, and they live there. So it's like, it's just more exciting. Like, I think they could use some fans. That'd be cool.
I mean, they seem to be doing.
You're also geographically, like, closest to them, I believe. Am I wrong? How far is that from?
I need to look it up. I think actually Ottawa is actually the closest. I think. Hold on, now I got to look this up though.
I mean, you could jump over to Ottawa. Jeff Teat, Rob Hellier, Zach Higgins.
It's not like we're like best friends, but I have their equipment manager. I have been friendly with since, well, definitely when they were still the Riptide in New York. And every time I ever talk about picking a team, he's like, Ottawa.
And Ottawa has great jerseys. Arguably the best player in the league, in the world, really. Brand new head coach, fresh energy. I'm just saying.
All right, Ottawa is 6 hours. It is 6 hours. Let's see. Technically, Albany was the closest team. See, Buffalo's 7.5. Let's see.
We're talking about a drive. We're talking about a flight.
This is drive.
Okay. Can you even drive to Halifax?
You can, but part of the issue is that you kind of have to go up into New Brunswick and then go across. Yeah, and kind of come down. So that's a 10.5 hour drive. Whereas as the crow flies, it's probably more like a set. Like if you could just drive straight there, it would be more probably in the 7 hour range.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I got to drive all the way across Maine, which
Yeah.
that in and of itself is a solid drive. But yeah, Albany was 3.5 hours, something like that, away. So that was the closest team. But yeah, Ottawa is currently. Actually, wait. I'm like, wait, where are the other teams?
I mean, if
You know what?
Buffalo's 9 or 7 hours, then like Rochester would be around the same, and
Rochester's slightly closer.
you could be an
Not
Hawks
by
fan.
not by a drastic amount.
Think about it. You can root for Fieldsy again.
So, funnily enough, I said Ottawa was 6 hours. You know who else is 6 hours? Phil.
Yeah, but they're about to move. Actually, closer to you, probably.
Yeah, if they move to Montreal, they will be close. Montreal's only 4 hours.
Oh, wait. This is just a theory that we're saying if they move, then they would be closer. They're not currently closer. Just to make it clear for you people that don't actually listen to the words, they could be closer.
I need a tinfoil hat soundbite like that I can just press. This is our tinfoil hat. This segment brought to you by tinfoil.
Yeah. Anyway,
Rochester is 6.5, so it would be Ottawa and Philly right at 6, and then Rochester.
okay.
So that is, unless we get a Montreal team. My wife and I actually just went to Montreal a couple weeks ago.
See, there you go.
I liked Montreal. I was impressed, but we're trying to do Toronto coming up, so that'll be fun. Anyway, back to the NLL now that we have gone off on a tangent.
It's all right. This is just a geography lesson, dude. Our listeners want to know that too, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't know how the Canadian cities all line up. You know, this is a good lesson.
I mean, hey, I know lots of people that have no idea. In fact, I was actually doing prep for this show this morning, and I was like, could I say that we went from Halifax on one coast to Calgary on the or to Saskatchewan on the other?
No.
And I was like, oh no, it's not quite.
No.
I mean,
it's like dead center Canada.
Ways. Not dead center, but it is more central.
I mean,
yes.
I mean, if that's the coast, man, I got some beachfront property to sell you in Colorado.
Fair. But like that was my point. Is like, yeah, I was like, oh, I don't really remember where Saskatchewan is.
I would love to go there one day. I don't know how I'm gonna make that happen, but like, I think that'd be so fun. I don't really know why, but I'm just saying. Think about it.
What makes you want to go? Just the atmosphere, the crowd, that stuff?
Yeah, I just want to see, like, I feel like with their crowd, there's such like an up and down, like 1 week it's like, oh, this place is packed, it's awesome, and then the next week you got people complaining about it, and then there's games where like both those things are still happening, but it's like the same game, and I'm like, wait, so is it packed or do they not have people? Like, I just want to see it, and like, I want to see the green turf in person because it's awful on TV, so I want to see what it's like.
So bad.
There, you know what I mean? And like, I just think it'd be fun to be. I mean, I think that's about as far. Maybe I'm wrong. As far north as I can get, NLL team wise. I don't know. I don't know where that line gets drawn with like Calgary and whatnot. But I also just wanted. At some point in my life, I'd like to see a game in all the stadiums. So that's on my bucket list, and I think that's going to be the toughest one to accomplish. But still going to try.
Saskatchewan would be, because they play in Saskatoon. That would be the farthest north.
Okay.
Unless a team moves back to Edmonton, then Edmonton would be the farthest north.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
So Calgary, Saskatoon, and Edmonton kind of form a little bit of a triangle where Calgary's the most southern, then Saskatoon, and then Edmonton back over. One of the things, speaking of learning Canadian geography, by the way, the Canadians in the Lax Lifers Club better be enjoying this because
Yeah, this is strictly for them. Sponsored by the people in the Discord.
I learned because I guess I feel like I knew this, but like I just had never really like thought about it before. But when the Rush moved from Edmonton to Saskatoon, they moved provinces.
Yeah.
Like it was a considerable move. Like for some reason in my head, Edmonton was still in Saskatchewan. And like, I don't know, something about seeing it this morning, like really put it into perspective of like, I mean, any, major four franchise that like moved and like, I don't even know let's see what the distance here is. Saskatoon. Yeah, that's a little over 5-hour drive. And I just thought about that like in American terms. Like, yeah, if your favorite team up and moved 5 hours, was in a different state, province in their case, like, yeah, that'd be a problem.
Yeah.
And that's dumb. Like, obviously that's a problem, but like,
well, shoot, if a team moves to Edmonton, if that theory ends up occurring, maybe we could do just one big little loop, hit all three. Like that's what I want to do in like the greater Toronto area / New York. Like if I could find a way to take off like a month of work or make enough money to travel there twice, like just go up and do like all of them at once. Like that'd be so sick.
So we're going to go into NLL schedule here, which I know people don't love. That was one of the things that drove me crazy. Last year, I wanted to do Albany, Rochester, Buffalo, and Toronto. I was like, that would be amazing. And there is no weekend where any more than 2 of those teams were playing. With the exception of, I think there was one weekend I found where 3 of them were playing, but 2 of them were playing at the exact same time. And it was like, you'd have to pick one or the other. You couldn't do all of them. And I was like, why can't this be a thing? And it's a thing where hopefully, we'll get into this in a little bit, but as Dawson Nielsen has talked about on our show, that he thinks a 30-game season is what's coming. And as part of that, I'm assuming there would be at least some midweek games. Because that's the other issue with this plan is like, you get 1 or 2 games in one weekend, but then you have to wait a full week before you can get another opportunity. Whereas if it was like some midweek games, it's like, oh, okay, maybe you could, make it happen. But that has been a thing. And of course now you could still do like Rochester, Buffalo, Toronto, and Oshawa, or something like that. That could still be fun. Again, the schedule doesn't really allow it. However, like you said, if this Edmonton thing comes about, that would be super fun, especially because Banff is right outside of Calgary, and Banff is like a place that my wife and I have been talking about for years trying to go to. It's become almost like a running joke with us of like, oh, let's go to Banff. Let's go to Banff. So drop the wife at Banff, go hit some lacrosse games, come back. Like,
just saying, it sounds like a good idea.
I'm in. You sold me. My wife doesn't listen to the podcast, as I learned when we did her NLL video.
Hey,
but
she's busy. She can't spend hours listening to 2 rascals talk about lacrosse, all right? She got better things to do. She has to go watch the Mississippi mudslides play, dude. She doesn't have time for this.
That's right. So, anyway, if she happens to hear this, she will be down on this idea too. We can drop her in Banff. That will totally. Yeah. All right. Let's just wrap up week 2 there. Not that we talked about that second game very much at all, but let's look forward to the week that is coming. This is the first full week of the season, I believe. Let's see, 7 games. That's 14 teams. So yeah, every team is in action this week. It is a full week, and it is the first and only one for the foreseeable future. I don't actually know when the next full week is. My guess would be after the new year, but I don't know off the top of my head. It looks like you might be looking it up. But the games that we have are the Rush versus the Ottawa Black Bears, the Mammoth versus the Wings will be the first game for the Wings. The Roughnecks will play the Rock. Halifax will play Buffalo in what will probably be kind of the game of the weekend, at least heading into it. The FireWolves will take on the Swarm. We will get to see the Las Vegas Desert Dogs new look team take the floor for the first time against the Vancouver Warriors. And your favorite, the Rochester Nighthawks, will take on the Seals, also making their first appearance this season. So that is 7 games. We are not going to get into every single one of them, but we'll get into a couple of picks in a second. What are you kind of looking that's the whole rundown. What kind of caught your eye there?
Well, Colorado back in action, obviously. Especially because then I have to wait 2 weeks to see him again, which is just ridiculous, but I digress. To no one's surprise, Vegas and Vancouver, I can't wait. Like, the 2 champions of the offseason, I really want to see what Vegas is made of and compare it to my predictions for them. I'm so curious to see how that goes. Obviously, I mean, Rochester, I'm excited for them, personally. If Zed plays, which I believe he is, I'm very excited for that. Obviously excited for like an entire schedule. He played in preseason. So, I think so. Which,
one of those things, like we talked about, when you don't show preseason, when you don't talk about the games and stuff, it's like, if you told me he was still hurt, like I know that there were some pictures last week of him like practicing. But as far as I knew, that was it. Like, he had just been at practice a few times.
I swear I saw someone say he scored a goal. I could be totally misremembering, but I swear that happened.
I'm not saying that you are wrong at all. I didn't see anything that saw it. Like I said, I saw the pictures of him on the floor. That's the only stuff I've seen since the trade about Zed Williams. So
yeah. But yeah, outside of that, I think there's some good, just like kind of grungy matchups. Again, Toronto, Calgary, Georgia and Oshawa. Is Oshawa for real? This is going to be kind of the litmus test, I think, for that a little bit. And also, like, Georgia, I thought played pretty well last week against Buffalo anyway. I know they had a 4-goal loss, but, like, all things considered and looking at their team, like, it was pretty good. How do they play against Oshawa? And then, again, just to monitor Halifax, like, kind of sucks for them that they get thrown into the gauntlet after one easy game for them. Like, that's going to be fun to watch as well. But again, just having a full slate is just incredible. I'm not going to be able to watch all of them, unfortunately, but it's just fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think you mostly nailed it. Obviously, Mammoth Wings is going to be interesting. It being the first time that we get to see the Wings in any capacity this season. Obviously, I don't think anyone is really expecting much of anything from them this season. I think we both had them as like bottom feeders in this season. So,
but you never know. Week 1, I mean, look what Halifax just did to Oshawa. Look at what Colorado did to Vancouver. Like, that type of thing that's where I'm like, as a fan, I'm scared of this game because you're coming off of a bye week as well to a team you have no film on. They had a lot of turnover. Like, I'm just, would it shock me to see Philly come out and like either make it a close game or win the game? Not really, just because of those factors. But like, again, it's hard to tell until they have some film, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just checked to see if they had released a roster. I mean, it's Tuesday night. It's not like I was really expecting one, but I wanted to see if there were any hints as to who was going to be lining up. I'm obviously paying attention to see if Michael Sowers dresses. Halifax Buffalo, obviously, like I said, is going to be that kind of like game of the week feel, especially after what Halifax did last week. I mean, in any season since they moved to Halifax, that's a marquee game just because of who those two teams have been. But especially coming off of last week and really the week before too, with Buffalo going out and beating the Georgia Swarm and looking every bit of that team that's going to go win a fourth championship. This will be a really big test for them. Not that the Swarm weren't, but it's kind of a different level. Like you said, Desert Dogs Warriors is another one that I think could potentially be that like kind of game of the week caliber kind of thing, just because of everything that happened in the offseason with those teams. Yeah, I guess Nighthawks Seals too.
Yeah. Yep. The boys. I don't actually know why I like them so much, aside from Zeddy, but I just do. Like, they just have so many guys that I'm like, I can't root for them when they're playing my team, but like, they're great.
There's something about that game, though, that there's something about it that's just screaming like, this is not going to be a good game. I don't know why, and I can't even tell you, does that mean the Nighthawks are going to win or the Seals? I have no idea. There's just something in the back of my head that's like, don't worry about that game. It's not going to be good. Tinfoil hat. Not saying that there is any reason. It's just like this, like I'm literally looking at it and my brain is like, don't worry about that game. Which probably means it will be like a 3 overtime, like instant classic. Like, let's be real. If I said something, it's probably going to be the opposite. But at least on paper heading into the game, it should be fun. It should be interesting to see what the Nighthawks look like. Especially like you said, if Zed is on the floor, like that's a huge thing because even when those pictures were coming out, I was thinking, okay, he's back at practice. He's maybe limited in practice. Because again, it was one still image of him in a uniform, and he was still wearing. You know what?
Oh, great! Here we go.
No, you know what? I'm an idiot. The picture was not Zed Williams. It was
Jeremy Thompson.
It was Jeremy Thompson.
Because you guys were all upset that he still had a Georgia Swarm helmet and gloves.
I wasn't upset.
So someone was upset.
People in my comments were upset about it. I was the one that was like, I'm sure it was just a practice that they didn't have an equipment staff at. Like, if it's a Thursday night practice for local guys, like, yeah, there's probably not an equipment guy there. So like he just put on what he had. It's fairly common in trades, like in just about every lacrosse league I've ever seen, a guy gets moved to a team and he's wearing his old team's gear. But yes, going back to what we were saying earlier, that means I have seen nothing on Zed Williams since the trade and the jersey reveal and everything. So I didn't know he was at practice. I didn't know he was doing anything with it. So if he's on the floor, that's huge. That in my mind puts him well ahead of where I thought he would be if he's on the floor this weekend. Even if he's not fully 100% back to being Zed, it means that whole timeline shifts forward. And now instead of maybe mid-season, you're looking at getting him back and trying to get him ready for the playoffs. It's like, man, by mid-season, maybe he's back to 100% being Zed or something. So,
and I did just verify it. November 22nd against Ottawa, at very least, he did have an assist. So he at least played the one game. Can't speak to the rest. But
was that on their Twitter?
That was on Nighthawks PR Twitter.
Nighthawks PR. See, they do it so weird where like they have that secondary channel, and I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, we don't generally on this show do pick'ems, but I thought maybe, especially because we can't go into every single game, give me 2 picks. One is a lock, like this is a guaranteed, this team is going to win the X game, whatever it is. And then one is maybe a sleeper that maybe is not a full lock, but you feel confident that this team will, maybe it's an upset, maybe it's just kind of an unlikely win, whatever it is.
Well, I'm not going to say who I put best bet as on Preston's picks because I'm going to pick someone different live on air. To me, the lock of the week on air is a Saskatchewan Rush over the Ottawa Black Bears. Just because I think, like we said last week, like it took so much from Ottawa and Hellier to even be competitive in that game. I think Frankie's going to be much better for the Rush in goal this week. I think he got that first week jitters out of his system. If they're putting up 16 goals, good luck anyway. But like, I just think they're kind of better top to bottom right now. Would I love to see Ottawa come out and smack them in the mouth? Absolutely. I think that's always fun when like an underdog wins, but I think that's kind of my guaranteed. And then my sleeper pick, I mean, I'm looking at this, man. Calgary over Toronto might be my sleeper pick. Like the rest of the games, like I said, Colorado Philly, coin flip. Buffalo, I think, takes it over Halifax. Georgia Oshawa, coin flip. Even Vegas Vancouver right now to me is kind of a coin flip. And then Rochester San Diego, still kind of a coin flip. But I look at that Calgary Toronto game and like that's to me like the biggest kind of coin flip of them all. Where like, what version of Toronto are we getting? Because if Calgary's putting up 13 against a team going to the finals previous year, what are they going to do to the Rock? So that to me, I think they're going to be my sleeper this week.
All right, so you had the Rush, and then you had Calgary. I agree with both of your picks. For the sake of making it slightly more interesting, I'm going to move my lock, and I'm going to say...
You know who to say. You know who to say.
Who do you want me to say? The Mammoth?
Them boys in burgundy and black.
You know what? To be completely honest, I probably would have made that pick, but you kind of talked me out of it with the whole, like, we haven't seen them, there's no tape on them, like, it could happen, and now I'm like, ooh.
It could happen for any of these teams, though.
Sure. But you shot yourself in the foot with this game because now I'm
It's all right. The people in Preston's picks know.
The people in Preston's picks. So, to be completely honest, I kind of want to go Georgia over Oshawa.
As a lock?
As a lock.
Oh my.
What you got?
There's just no way you see that as a lock. There's genuinely no shot.
Why not?
Did you... Doesn't matter. It's your picks.
I mean, you can combat them.
Nope. It's fine.
I mean, we're talking about a Swarm team that played the Bandits very well.
I think you should put them as a sleeper pick, if anything. I think there are other games that are more of a lock than
who's
that.
Who's more of a lock?
I think of the rest of the games for you, I think Rochester's more of a lock. I think Colorado's more of a lock.
Over San Diego is a lock.
I think that's more of a lock than Georgia over Oshawa. What does Georgia have going for them that you're like they're going to for sure beat down Dougie Jamieson and an upset Oshawa team after how they performed last week?
Wait, are we talking about the same Dougie Jamieson that just got beat 11-2?
You mean the same one that gave up 8 goals?
He only had to give up 3. So,
that's not his fault. Blame his offense. We can't credit him for that.
But the point is, that was one of the worst performances we have seen in recent memory.
Not from Doug Jamieson, it wasn't. From the offense, it was.
From the team.
Nah, from one side of the ball. They'll even tell you. There's no shot they do that again against Georgia. In my opinion. But again, these are your picks.
I don't think they have to.
Okay.
I mean, that Georgia offense, they put up 13 against Buffalo. Like,
that's Buffalo's first game adjusting to the new rule changes. That's Paul Dawson's first game in a while. I'm just saying. I don't think of the remaining games. If you're trying to not pick Sask, I think there's more better options. Book it, he says. Book it. Wow. Okay. Hey, like I said, I think that's a coin flip game. But man, to put a lock on it, man, that's tough. Who's the sleeper then?
Well, but see, and here's why. Because I'm with you. I think Calgary over Toronto. Like, I think I want to pick something different, but when I look at the rest of the games, I'm like, if Halifax beats Buffalo, are we really going to be like, oh, like what? Where did that come from? Now, if they beat
depending on how they win, I might, but
okay,
but
fair.
not in general.
Always, yeah, if they 11-2 Buffalo, then like yeah, you're going to be like, what the hell did we just see? For sure. But generally speaking, I'm not sure that many of the other ones would I really be all that surprised. I would be surprised to see the Wings beat the Mammoth. Again, we haven't seen the film on them. That kind of stuff is true, and so it's hard for me to really put them as a lock. But I also don't expect that we're going to see the Mammoth lose that game. Like if the Wings did it, that would be a surprise, but I'm not expecting it to actually happen. Whereas the Roughnecks over the Rock, like I'm like, not only is that I think an upset in the minds of like the general population, it's one I actually think at the very least has a very high probability of happening. If not, like I could almost make that my lock almost. Okay. I feel that confident, which is funny because I do like that Rock team, but I just really like the Roughnecks and the way that they're playing right now. And I'm still not totally convinced on where this Rock team is. This will be a big game, I think, to prove them because on paper, I think they should beat the Roughnecks, right? You think that's fair?
Yeah.
Based on the talent that they have and the experience that they have, I think you would expect the Rock to win this game on paper. I just don't think that it plays out that way. So that was part of the reason why I moved for Georgia as the lock, because I didn't want to move sleeper because I just don't see anything else there. So, but now you got me all messed up, man.
No, it's fine.
Whatever, book it. I'm standing with it.
Okay,
Georgia. And
Hey, that's fine.
I love when you say that's fine and you really don't mean that it's fine.
Hey, they're your picks. You explained them. I accept your explanation, especially the sleeper pick one. I just staunchly disagree with the lock. But who knows? Who knows?
This time next week, I am either going to look like a genius or a complete idiot.
If they blow out Oshawa, I'll give you your flowers. If they win by like a goal, I'm going to be like,
all right, you set the margin. What's the margin between me being a genius and just like having won a game?
3 goals.
They have to win by 3 goals or more.
3 goals. Because if you're winning by 3, assuming there's not some weird business again with Jameson somehow only accounting for 8 of the 11, that means you had to beat him a lot more. So I would say 3.
Hey, like we said after their game in week 1, Lyle Thompson ain't having 1 point again.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Again, I'm not saying I don't want to see that. I would love to see Georgia be competitive, but I really think it's going to be like a 1-goal game when it's all said and done. Maybe even overtime.
I just see that they had a 1-goal game with a Toronto team that we're not sold on. That they won. They did the thing. They won. Credit to them for that. But against a team that, like I said, we're not super sold on. And then the next week they followed that up with a pretty rough performance. And now they have a team that won game, but now they're playing a team that played the 3-time defending champions pretty well. And if you're the guy in my TikTok mentions who thinks that that game was completely won by the refs for sending Brett Dobson to the penalty box, which I would vehemently disagree with, but
how does that make any sense? They didn't score on that power play. I would understand it if you wanted to make that argument if the Bandits went and scored twice on the power. Like, what are...
It was the exact same scoreline when that penalty started as when that penalty ended. But they played them tight. They were maybe a penalty away from winning a game.
Yeah, just 4 power plays away.
Listen.
5, actually, because you need to overtake them, but whatever. Neither here nor there.
And I do think, well, you know what, I should put a caveat on this. I'm assuming it would have already been handed down, and the fact that we haven't seen it come down means that it's not going to happen. But if you listened to Loose Mesh last week, even Brett Dobson seemed to be waiting for a suspension.
No, I think he'll play.
Like I said, I'd imagine that if a suspension was coming, it would have come already. But as we have already seen in another story this week, the NLL is weird with their suspensions sometimes. And if for some reason Dauber is suspended for this game, that would change it. I'm just going to say that beforehand. If Dauber's not playing, they would not be.
Obviously.
Because if for some reason he doesn't play, he gets suspended tomorrow or whatever, and then doesn't play, and then they lose by 3 goals, someone's going to be like, oh, see, Neil's an idiot. And listen, I am an idiot, but just not in this specific case. Let's move on. We will wrap up the show here in a minute, but kind of a I don't know if it's a big note, because I think especially you and I, several of the people that we talk to on a pretty consistent basis, I don't think this is exactly a shock to us, but Dawson J. Nielsen is reporting that the PLL season will start May 9th, and that's kind of the big bombshell. But I actually think the second part of what he tweeted out maybe was glossed over by most of the reaction from this tweet, but I think is probably the more telling part, and that is this. And I'm reading from his tweet. These are Dawson J. Nielsen's words and thoughts we are going to react to. Sources from the NLL and PLL say the leagues are working together on a more unified schedule, with the PLL starting nearly a month earlier. Are both leagues planning a transition period? I will go ahead and start, and we can get to you in a minute. I think this is the first of what will probably be several steps in which both leagues kind of reposition themselves sort of slowly. I think we're going to have 2 weeks of overlap, and then maybe the NLL will start earlier in November or something next fall, and then maybe the PLL will start a little bit earlier, with ultimately, and this is maybe where it starts to get tinfoil hat, because I don't think any of us really know what the end goal is, but I still think that it is ultimately going to end up with the PLL playing a full spring schedule like NCAA lacrosse does, and the NLL will shift to the summer, maybe into the fall a little bit, depending on what exactly they do. If they go to a 30-game season, like Dawson has said, they may need a little bit more time than just a straight like PLL kind of summer season. But then again, as we have talked about, there may be some night weekend not weekend games, night games. Goodness gracious, that could maybe kind of shorten that time frame a little bit. It seems like a lot of things that, like I said, that second half where Dawson talked about the NLL and PLL working together to create a more unified schedule, something that works for everyone in those two leagues at least better, seems to be kind of have been glossed over by a lot of the reactions that I have read. A lot of people on one side or the other mostly just want to talk junk about the other side, which kind of drives me crazy. One comment I did see that I thought was interesting was that if the PLL starts earlier, they should not start in Albany. That it was already cold and rainy and kind of gross out there. So that was an interesting one, because I was like, oh, it would be nice to see them get somewhere else. Although you would still need someone, I think, that kind of can do what Albany does with housing everyone for training camp and everything, and then kind of just going straight into that week one. So they'll have to find that. But anyway, I've rambled for quite a while now. I'll let you kind of react to that.
Yeah, well, I just want to clarify. The wording on the tweet was early word on the PLL season start date is May 9th. So just to be clear, it's not Dawson saying May 9th is going to happen, and then if it doesn't start May 9th, he's wrong. It's just saying that that's kind of where he's heard talks starting. But also, I think this isn't going to happen anytime soon. Just, you got to consider, like, you can't just move two league schedules around that quickly. Like, you're going to have to kind of do, like, one of these, like, inching scenarios where, you know, this year NLL starts November 29th. Maybe next year it starts November 1st, or, you know, hypothetically dates. And then the next year it's, you know, a little more. Or same with the PLL. Like, I don't think it's just going to be as easy as just being like, move this here, and we're done. Like, it's a lot. As far as, like, the Albany comment, like, that's just such an odd thing to be thinking about with this. Like, especially when, like, so many of these field fans are, like, avid NCAA watchers. I don't see them ever complain about the cold and misery when it's an NCAA team, but let it be the PLL, and all of a sudden it's awful.
They do complain, but only up to March 1st. You know, there's a handful of teams that play like late February games, and people are like, "What are we doing? March 1 should be the start." But
I guess I've seen packed stadiums at Denver games when it's dumping snow. All right, people do not care. Like,
that's because you guys are crazy.
That's because we like lacrosse, and we're gonna watch lacrosse. All these people that are all up in arms potentially about the NLL being in the summer, by the way, talking about, I want to be outside when it's the summertime. Bye. The four of you that are complaining about being inside for 2.5 hours in the summer can leave. Like,
one night a week.
I saw someone complaining about this, talking about, you expect them to give up 9 weekends on the summer. I'm like, weekends? Are you camping out inside the stadium? Bro, it's 2.5 hours. So this entire discussion has been wild to me, seeing the reactions. But I think it's a good thing that the leagues are at least trying to get a schedule that makes a little bit more sense. Especially when you factor in, like, even the PLL playing over summer, the fact that, like, cleats and sticks are melting and they're having to put them on ice. Like, if we can, I know we can't just fully eliminate summer, like, for an outdoor sport, but, like, if we can get to a place where maybe they're not having to play in 100+ degree weather where that has to occur, like, I think that's a big step in the right direction as well anyway. And, like, I've heard from a couple friends, starting in May doesn't really work because if you're involved with the coaching at the high school levels or whatever, like, that would affect your availability. Unfortunately, like, any movement's going to affect people's availability. So if it doesn't work for you, I'm sorry, but, like, this current schedule doesn't work for a lot of youth teams anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what comes of it, especially with the whole 30-game potential. Even that, I think, is 5+ years away, in my personal opinion. So something to monitor, but it's good to hear that at least the two leagues are trying to work together and figure something out that works a little bit better.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's the bigger takeaway, that all the complaints about the NLL does this and the PLL does this and blah 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 whatever. We now have a leadership group in each league that is communicating with the leadership group in the other league, and they are trying to actively do something to address the issues that both leagues have. And that's something that we've never really seen before. And so I find that really interesting.
And I've said this too. I think it's just, even if you're going to at some point say, hey, players, you have to pick one league or the other, I still think working together to where you're not directly competing with each other is better than saying, no, we're just going to be our own thing. And, I think a lot about like the NBA and WNBA. It is so smart that they have one at one time of year, one on the other. And I recognize that, scheduling and scale-wise probably affects that, but like that's so smart, because if you put those two leagues at the same time or have much overlap, like one of those leagues is going to suffer much more than the other. So I think even just from that standpoint of like, hey, we might overlap by a couple of weeks, but like that's better than overlapping a whole bunch of times, which is why, like you said, these two groups have been working together for years now to make that better. If you remember, when the Mammoth won, I remember Dylan Ward showed up to PLL training camp in like a week or two late because he was playing in the finals. Like, getting to that point where they don't have to do that is going to be huge if we get to that point.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it means that we're gonna have a little bit more overlap in the short term. Hopefully,
potentially. That's the other thing that I don't think people are considering. And this goes into like my personal belief, if you bump the NLL schedule, sorry, there's a loud plane if anyone can hear that flying by for some reason. If you bump the NLL schedule even just within the month of November up 3 weeks, you're now going from a early June end date to early middle May. Even that alone only would overlap this by 1 weekend, not including training camp, I guess. But like, you see what I'm saying? Even if you can get it into October, maybe midway through, like all of a sudden it makes a little bit more sense. And that's where I'm talking about the inching down into a more summer-based schedule could make a lot of sense. Again, tinfoil hat, we'll see.
Yeah, I think this season there's gonna, if May 9th happens, there's gonna be some overlap. Then it adjusts. But of course, if they adjust up a couple of weeks, maybe the PLL adjusts up next, whatever that is, 2027 moves a little bit.
And I do hope that the leagues also put out like an announcement, like if the PLL does move it like this year or whenever it does happen, I hope they put out a thing that's like, we're working with the NLL to try to get this figured out, to make sure, just so people don't overreact and be like, well, why are we overlapping? And then you got the one side arguing with the other, and like, I think it'd be good PR for both, just to be like, hey, this is what's happening and why it's happening. So,
no, I would agree with that. People are going to argue regardless. You can put out the statement and people will still misread it, misunderstand it, misrepresent it, and turn it into something that it isn't. But I would agree that making that proactive step would be good, rather than, especially from the PLL side, what they have done in the past, which is make a decision, then talk about it in a podcast or Paul's State of the League address or something that a large majority, excuse me, Mike, of the lacrosse population may not see, and thus can't even misrepresent and misunderstand because they didn't even see it in the first place. Yeah. And so then people start to make a lot of comments about, oh, Paul hates the NLL and that's why he's doing this, and whatever the issues are. One thing I did want to mention, because we've talked about it in the past when moving up, when talking about potentially moving seasons, was what specifically what box players will do outside of the NLL season, because right now they go play MSL in the summer, but if the NLL is playing during the summer, they obviously won't do that. someone specifically asked that, and Dawson said that he thinks the Arena League, the ALL, that Christian Del Bianco was playing in last year when he was not in the when he was holding out from the Roughnecks before he signed with Vancouver, or was traded, I guess technically, right? And he also said that he thinks a lot of the PLL players that have left for the MSL would go back to the PLL. Again, Dawson's thoughts and words, not ours, but I definitely see a lot of wisdom in what he's saying. I think the Arena Lacrosse League would be huge, assuming that MSL stayed in the summer. I don't know that it would or wouldn't, but assuming that it did attempt to stay in the summer, although I would think if I was them and the NLL was suddenly playing in the summer, I'd probably move my season too. But that's for them, and we know much less. We hear much less noise about the MSL than we do about the NLL and PLL, and we don't hear a ton of that. I feel we should make it another point to say we are not media, we are not insiders. We do know some people, and they do tell us things, but it's pretty much all rumor and innuendo until something is officially announced. So, with that all being said, let's wrap it up. How about that? If you want to jump in to join the conversation, the best way to do that is by joining the Lax Lifers Club. That is the home for our entire community. When you join, you will get access to our Discord community where we talk about the game pretty much 24/7. There's usually always someone in there talking. If you have something to say, someone else will respond. In our paid tiers, you can get run out episodes for 48 hours early and gain access to exclusive things like hangouts and watch-alongs. You will get to directly interact with us and fellow Lax Lifers. You will be able to help us build this community of passionate lacrosse fans by joining. Please give that a consideration. You can find all of the details and tiers by hitting the link in our show notes or in the video description if you are watching on YouTube. Before we get out of here, Brandon, you got anything happening this week? I know last week you had the championship. You kind of off for a week, or what you doing?
No, actually, I have a card show that I'm having to work around some schedules right now because Mammoth obviously play 11 a.m. local time here Saturday, and the Broncos play 2:25 Sunday. So I may be going twice, one, for a couple hours each day. We'll see about that. I would like to consolidate, but I just don't know if I'm gonna have enough time to kind of do everything I want to do there. But I've been looking forward to that for like 2 months now since the last one, and this time I have stuff to sell in person, my first time. So I'm actually I'm nervous, but I'm also kind of excited. And this show is actually, I think, like twice the size of the last one I went to because that had such success that they moved it to a bigger place, 400 tables. So that's pretty exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna attempt. I'm gonna have some lacrosse stuff with me. I don't think I'll see anybody that has any, but I'm gonna try. I think that'd be kind of fun to kind of, even if I don't sell anything, just to be like, hey, have you heard of this team or this league or whatever? But
spreading the good word.
I'm gonna try.
All right. I like it. We're doing Christmas stuff for the next couple of weeks because me and my wife are going down to North Carolina for Christmas, so we're trying to do some family stuff up here in New Hampshire the remaining few weeks before we head down to North Carolina for the actual holidays. So I will actually hopefully be able to watch maybe not every single one of these games, but at least a good portion of them I can get through. I did not know the Mammoth were playing at 11 a.m. local. That's tough.
Yeah, 1 p.m. Eastern, so it sucks, but whatever. At the same time, you get it out of the way early, which is kind of nice, because I was kind of worried about, like, I couldn't remember if we played early or late, and I was like, I don't really want to go to the card show and, like, rush myself. Like, yeah, Saturday they do end at a certain time, so I'll still have that cap, but at least it's, like, not rushing to get home to watch the game, so. Yeah. It's one of a couple that's, like, midday that I'm like, why are we doing this? But whatever.
I used to really enjoy that when I was in New Mexico. I used to really enjoy, like, even Monday Night Football. It would come on, and by the time it was over, it'd be 10 o'clock, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I could be up for another hour or two and, like, and be fine.
I know our guy Brad said I live in a fake time zone. It's kind of elite overall. Talking about sports times, like, there's a couple that are pushing it. Like the 8 p.m. starts in Vancouver and that type of thing. That's a little pushing it, but, like, it's pretty good most times.
When I was a big soccer fan, and it was kind of a pain to that because, like, you'd have to get up at like 4 a.m. to watch, like, the early game.
That's fair, yeah.
But the flip side of that is, like, yeah, it sucked because you had to get up at 4 a.m. But the flip side was, at 6, when the game was over, you went back to sleep and slept for a few more hours, and you woke up and it was still like 9 o'clock in the morning. Like, it was great. Anyway, all that being said, let's get out of here. You can find both me and Brandon on social media. Brandon is at Hoot Sports Media, and I am Neil Barrett. That is for both of us across all platforms. Like, subscribe, rate, share, and review the show on whatever platform you're listening on. Can't even begin to tell you how much that helps our show and helps us get out to a new audience. And with that all being said, we will catch you guys in the comments.